Episode, it was kind of an intro, kind of just a ramble on what I think the journey is, why I made this channel, and a little bit about the different types of soul connections. I wanted to redo what I think the soul connection, or my understanding of the soul connections, because I definitely missed a lot of things, and I think it's very important to know the difference of all the soul connections before really delving into this journey, because either they can all get so mixed up. So let's start with a karmic connection. So karmic connections are the ones that kind of force you to grow by triggering you through your wounds, your shadows, and just lessons that haven't been resolved. Sometimes it can feel really intense and magnetic and all-consuming. It can involve obsession, conflict, repeated cycles. Oftentimes, it's tied to life patterns or early childhood wounds that haven't been closed or healed. Now, in saying this, it does sound a lot like something in the twin flame journey. If you did listen to the first episode I put out, then you know that I believe that a twin flame connection is an oscillation between karmic and soulmate. So where karmic differs is the growth only comes through friction. There's no harm, or there's not much harmony to grow from. And it's something that actually pulls you away from your purpose. It's something that more so derails you from the person that you are meant to be than bringing you closer. I mean, in the end, it would bring you closer, but only when you end the cycle. And it's a confusing thing, because these people typically feel very familiar, and it can have a level of passion that feels good. But yeah, it's something that hurts way more. It's to get you to really see these triggers and really see these wounds. And I think a lot of people who get trapped in these karmic cycles get trapped because either they don't want to see their wounds, they don't want to deal with their wounds, they feel comfortable in their wounds, they feel comfortable in the pattern, or they just have a mindset where they think that this is what it's supposed to be. For myself, I was trapped in a karmic cycle for quite a while, but for myself, it was nurturing. It's just one of those things that was draining me, and it was draining me because I couldn't see that it was. It was under the guise of something that was very, very comfortable, but I am somebody with a really big growth mindset, and so comfort is where dreams go to die. So there's so many ways that this can show up. It can show up in something that's abusive. It can show up as something toxic. It can be quiet, or it can be loud. And I think that is where I guess people just they can't see outside of it. They can't see how it's not something beneficial to them. But yeah, it's its core function is to wake you up through that discomfort, and it's supposed to force you to move through these things and to heal these wounds so that you can grow. And typically, once the lesson is learned, it ends. And if you ignore it, it just continues to escalate. I think there's some people who never get out of it. They just kind of think that that's how it is. And then, they don't. Those are the people who are really sad in life. And I pray you not be one of those people. So soulmate connections are something they're more healing. They feel safe and they feel grounding. They have more of a sense of home. Again, any of these relationships can be romantic, platonic, or familial. It's never limited to just love. So you can find soulmates in friends. You can find soulmates in your family. You can find soulmates at work. They are harmonious. They are an energy that feels complementary to you. Your nervous system typically comes into regulation when you're around these people. You might have conflicts, but it's not usually something that's toxic or super chaotic. It's something that is just part of life, to be honest. But it's typically things that can be resolved. And it's something that grows you, and it feels natural and supportive. It's not something that's forceful, it's gentle. There is mutual effort in soulmate connections. They don't have that chaser-runner dynamic. It's like you're both there because you both want to be there and you both want to support each other, and it's very equal. So its core function is basically to expand you, to stabilize you, and help you live a little bit more in truth through love. So now going back to the reason why we are all here, twin flame connections. So again, my belief is that it's sort of an oscillation between karmic and soulmate. Of course, without the toxicity, but it has aspects of both. It's one soul that is split into two bodies, and therefore you mirror each other. They're rare. They're intense. They are transformative. Personally, I'm not sure. I think it would make sense that everybody has some sort of, or is a soul that has been split into two, but I don't know. Because, there's some people who go through their whole life and never have that type of connection where they feel that otherworldly kind of, what's the word right now? Telepathic bond with anybody else. So I don't know, maybe it could be wrong. And then you have literal twins, so I don't know. But I mean, according to most people, it's rare. I think I don't know. I feel like it has something to do with how awakened you are. I think just most of the world, at least as we know it, is asleep. So maybe they're just never able to pick up on that. Or they have somebody in their life that keeps orbiting around, but it's just like neither of them see it. I don't know. Anyways, for the sake of this, we'll say that they're rare. But I think where it's different from, for the karmic parts, when they trigger your wounds, they act as a direct mirror to your unhealed parts. Meaning, what I want to say, or what I believe, is that it's opposite. They go through opposite things to the same unhealed wounds, if that makes sense. Or that's what I experienced, is me and my person have gone through similar things, but the way that we've gone through them is parallel. And things about us are very parallel. There are some things that are the same, but it's like, I want to say circumstances. A lot of circumstances are the same, but it's just like how we are and how we deal with these things are directly mirrored. So, when you look in a mirror, everything is flipped. And I believe that is what a twin flame is somebody who mirrors you, somebody who is a parallel version of you. And that's why learning through them is so magical. Or, I'll say magical is not the word I want to use, but for lack of a better term, I'm going to say magical. I guess that's what's rare about it, is in comparison to all the other, or to the other two types of connections, it's something that you can directly translate. Because if you look at the opposite thing of what your twin is doing, then it gives you answers to yourself and your own situation. But yeah, they don't just trigger your shadow, but they can trigger ego death, and usually it comes with a spiritual awakening, which again is something that I find very, very beautiful about this journey. For myself, for I guess the reawakening of this connection, it came back into my life when I set the intention to be the highest version of myself. Because I was married, and it wasn't something that felt toxic, but now that I've looked at my shadow and understanding what I said about how it's a connection that kind of drives you away from your purpose. Like I said, I was very comfortable. I wasn't living in my divine purpose. I was just being a regular person, I guess, quote unquote. I had a regular job, and I did all the things that society tells you to do. I got married. I had a very beautiful baby girl, but there was just something about my life that felt very stagnant, and it felt like I've always known that I was meant for greater things, but I wasn't achieving it, and I couldn't understand it. And it wasn't until I started to look at the karmic relationships I had in my life and distilling it down to the patterns, and not specifically just the intensity of each person's actions. But when I looked at the patterns, I realized that the person that I had chosen to marry exhibited a lot of those patterns, but I wasn't able to tell, just because he was very nurturing, and he never did anything out of malice, so it was hard to differentiate. But yeah, going on with the twin flame connection, another big difference between the other two is that there is a magnetic pull, and it doesn't matter the distance or the amount of time of separation. It's something that is always pulling back to you over time. If you watched, or if you listened to my intro episode, I mentioned that I guess my journey has been 12 years long. So even though over the 12 years, I didn't see my person romantically for, I guess, the last 10, he was always somebody that just kind of showed up in my life. There were so many different places that we encountered each other. And there's so many ties, I want to say, where we will still continue to see each other. So it's one of those things where it doesn't really matter how much we try to avoid each other. The universe kind of just always gives us opportunities to, I don't know, come back to each other, to see each other. And it's what I noticed for a lot of those encounters that I had were always opposite to each other. Like we're walking the opposite direction and it's just to each other. So yeah, there's that. It does often include the chaser-runner dynamic. As I've mentioned in the intro, I believe that I was the runner at first, and I think it switched this time that we've encountered each other, and now he is the runner. But yeah, it's not really about comfort or romance or stability. The purpose is, I believe, to align with your higher self, not necessarily union. I think union is something that naturally happens once you come into alignment with your higher self. Because again, if they are your mirror, the things that you do, they will also do. In terms of elevation, it's like, I think if you continue to work on yourself, they inherently just end up having to work on themselves as well. There's a science term for this. But it's something about how the force is equal. So that's why it's like, it's very typical that if you're thinking about them, they're likely thinking about you as well. Maybe not exactly the same way, it's probably something like different, but it's one of those things where it's so intense that there's no way that you don't both feel it. That's how I've understood it. But yeah, it's spiritual evolution. And yeah, the way that I see it is, if you are working on yourself and you're becoming the highest version of yourself, it doesn't make sense that it would be one-sided. It doesn't really make sense that only one person in each dynamic would have a divine purpose. In fact, that's pretty much how I know that my person is my person, because they have a divine purpose that is similar to mine, or it's in a similar field. And for myself, I'll talk a little bit about what I've kind of learned through my connection. But yeah, even through the pain, I've only grown closer to the highest version of myself. I have only refined my purpose, and it's opened me up to more spiritually. I've been able to uncover different things that I want to do, or that I'm meant to put out into the world through spirituality. And these are things that I never would have had come to light had I not had this experience. And yeah, even with my intuitive abilities, I don't think that my intuitive abilities would have awoken if I hadn't encountered my person, if I didn't have this experience. Because for me, a lot of this journey has been trusting my intuition over the noise and over what other people think about this. Because obviously, if you're listening to this at all, you know that there is just something inside of you that tells you that this connection is safe, or that this person loves you, to be quite frank with it. And even when it doesn't make sense, it's typically also a connection that just doesn't make sense, whether there is a religious barrier, cultural barrier, difference in beliefs, difference in there's so many things. There's so many different ways where there's just something about it that doesn't make sense. And it's something that you're like, no, this could never be. But there's something inside of you that tells you that this is your person. And, there's often this like past life type of aspect to it. For myself, I've been able to see kind of past lives with this person. And yeah, when we've okay, I'm not going to use the word encounter. When we've had reunions with each other, there's just like a level of comfort. There's this feeling that we've been here before. And I think that when you watch a lot of movies or hear these things in music, a lot of them are referring to this type of feeling. And I think, it's the reason why these types of media are so alluring to us. It's because I think a lot of us do have that recognition of wanting that feeling that you've known somebody forever or through lifetimes. Because that shit's special, bro. I don't know what else to say. It's just, yeah, you don't get that every day. You don't get that with everyone. And it's like, I think a lot of people try to force that. I think when you have society and these different rules and what you think that you should be, what you should have in life, these like steps, those, you kind of get clouded in judgment, and you want the end result faster. At least that's how it happened for me. I remember in the beginning of this relationship, the first time that we were united, there was a part of me, there was something in me that just told me that he was not serious like that. Like, he didn't want to get married and have a family. I mean, in retrospect, we were like not even 20 yet. So of course he wasn't. But more so what it was there was a part of me that was intimidated by him. He was very intellectual, it seemed. And so I didn't feel like I was enough either. I felt like I just wasn't confident. But what did drive me was, something in me told me after that, just like, this guy isn't serious. So what did I do? I was hell-bent on finding somebody who was. And then I found a boyfriend within, 8 months of that encounter. And then the next time that my twin flame actually reached out to me and wanted to get together again, I already had a boyfriend. So, okay, so Yeah, and then I had another relationship that eventually turned into my marriage. And yeah, I thought that was perfect. I thought it was a fairy tale, but it took a really long time. Or well, I mean, it took me doing a lot of shadow work to realize that it was something that I was trying to make fit in my life. You know, when they say that, you know, when you have a puzzle piece and it looks like it can fit somewhere, but then it doesn't really. And it's like you'd have to like jam it in to kind of fit. And even when you do, it's just, you know that it doesn't go there. It was one of those things. And yeah, I don't know if I will come into union with my person. Of course, I hope I do. And all I know is that isn't supposed to be the intention. I am meant to work on myself, and I'm meant to do divine things. And it just seems as though it'd be inevitable that if my twin is mirroring me, that it would make the most sense for us to be together. And I think being together, we'd be able to accomplish a lot of beautiful things in this world. But again, it requires both of us to clear out all those triggers and all those wounds, and to really understand what our purposes are. So yeah, I hope that these distinctions help you. And yeah, I hope at the end of the day, all I hope for when I make these is to give you an understanding that leads you back on a path towards yourself, your greatest self. And to focus a little less on the pain of being in separation, and, you know, eliminating that separation within yourself. And then again, if union happens, or the separation between you and your person dissolves as a result of that, then that is just an added beautiful bonus. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. Have yourselves a wonderful day, night, whatever time it is for you. And until next time, goodbye.